What's up, everybody? Antonio Gonzalez with the Financial Bear Show. Today, we're going to talk about freezing your credit. Before I forget, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family, especially if you thought it was impactful. And don't forget to hit that notification button so that way you are aware of all new videos I post every single weekend. Thank you. Make sure you watch until the end of the video because I'm going to show you step by step on how to freeze your credit with TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And also, don't forget to check out my other video about credit fundamentals. That's just a basic overview of what credit is. So let's get right into it. So why do people put credit freezes on their report? Well, the number one reason why they do that is to prevent unauthorized usage of their report. So if you're compromised or if someone has your information and pretends to be you, they can't go to the bank and apply for additional lines of credit or credit cards or mortgages under your name. They need you to release that hold or that freeze in order to do that. So a credit report freeze prevents unauthorized usage of your credit report. And that's the most important reason why people freeze their credit, is to prevent unauthorized usage. Another benefit of a credit report freeze, it prevents you from being impulsive with your credit. So now if a store clerk says, hey, you want 20% off of this item, just apply for the credit card, you're gonna say no because you have to spend the time to unfreeze your credit. So this prevents you from being impulsive with your credit. Before I get into how to do a credit report freeze, I want to take a second and answer some of the questions that I personally had before I went ahead and froze my credit. So let's get right into it. So the question is, who should do this? So grandparents, children, and yourself. Everybody should have a credit report freeze. This is the first line of defense to protect against hackers that have your identity. So make sure you do this for everybody in the household. Another question I had is if it costs anything. No, the answer is no, it doesn't cost you a dime. So if you're on a site and they're asking you for your credit card information, you're on the wrong site. Do not proceed. So credit report freezes are free. So the last question I had was, can I still use credit monitoring sites like Credit Karma if my credit is frozen? And the answer is yes. You can still use those sites. They are not impacted by a credit report freeze. So go ahead and use those sites. You'll still get your monthly or quarterly updates saying that your credit report went up 100 points. So don't worry about that. With the credit report freeze, you're still able to access those sites. So now that we went through those questions, let's look at TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And I'm going to show you step by step how to go ahead and freeze your credit for each of those credit bureaus. So let's get right into it. So the first agency we're going to look at is TransUnion. Basically, you just go onto the TransUnion site, or you could just Google, freeze my credit report, TransUnion, and it should get you to the same spot. And keep in mind, if you are asked to put in a credit card, it's the wrong site. So don't do that. But it's pretty straightforward. And to unfreeze your credit, you're going to go to the same site. So make sure you save all your information, your login information, because right now you're going to create an account. But make sure you save all that information in a secure spot so that way you can access it if you need to unfreeze your credit report. But as you can see, it gives you an option to add a freeze or to remove a freeze. So let's go ahead and add a freeze. And then right here, it's going to prompt you to create an account. So you're just going to put in all your basic information, name, address, phone number, email address, date of birth, and last four of your social. And it's going to ask you questions that you should know the answers to. And that's how it works with TransUnion. Now, keep in mind that each of the other bureaus, Equifax and Experian, are going to have a completely different setup. But this is just TransUnion's setup. So let's go into the other ones. Now, this is the Equifax site. As you can see, it's slightly different than the TransUnion site. But basically, you're just going to Google add a freeze to my Equifax credit report. And it should prompt you to the same site that we're looking at right now. But once you get to the site, you're just going to scroll down here and you're going to select place a freeze. But let's say, for example, you already have a freeze. So how do you unfreeze it? So you're just going to select manage a freeze. So you select that. So it should prompt you to enter your email address and password. And that's how you go ahead and access the Equifax website, so that way you can unfreeze your credit report. So now that we're back onto this section, let's go ahead and let's select place a freeze. Now it's going to prompt you to add in your personal information, your name, last name, date of birth, social security number, your phone number, and your address. And again, they're going to prompt you to ask you questions about your personal life, and these are questions that you should have the answers to. So then you're going to press continue, and then you're just going to establish an account, and then you're going to add the freeze. And that's how you add the freeze to the Equifax site. Okay, so finally, the last agency we're going to look at is Experian. So Experian is going to be slightly different than Equifax and slightly different from TransUnion, but they all have the same premise. So you're just going to add a security freeze, but also on this site, it allows you to remove or lift the security freeze right on the same site, which is nice. So when you go ahead and select add a security freeze, it's going to prompt you to freeze your own credit or do it for a minor or someone that's unable to do so. So obviously we're going to do it for your own file right now. So once you select that, you're going to be prompted to add your personal information. And here you're going to actually create your own PIN, which is nice. So instead of remembering passwords and all that, this allows you just to have a PIN. And then once you fill out your personal information and you create your own PIN, you just hit agree and submit. And then every time you go into the site to unfreeze it, you're going to have to enter this information in and also provide the PIN. So remember to add a PIN that you're going to remember and something that's secure enough that hackers can't access. Okay, so this is the phone numbers for TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. If you decide to not do it online, you can actually call them directly to place the freeze on your report. Now, one thing I do want to highlight is the fact that if you decide to do this, remember that your credit is frozen. You cannot apply for a credit card or a mortgage or a loan without unfreezing your credit report because you will be denied. I just want to stress that point. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Financial Bear Show. I'm going to be producing more videos like this about credit in the next couple weeks. So make sure you tune in for that. Also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already and hit the notification button so that way you're aware of all the new videos I produce every single weekend. Until next time, have at it.